It was one of the world's hotspots, a vacation destination for millions of Westerners in search of adventure, a playground for the rich, a paradise for romantics. Southeast Asia had it all. Gorgeous beaches, ancient cultures, and all the modern comforts. But all that changed when the tsunami struck. Now, nearly a year later, the people of Southeast Asia are rebuilding their lives and trying to lure back tourist dollars from the West. Join me, Juju Chang, as I travel to Thailand and Sri Lanka to witness the recovery.
So what's going on here?
These are the stories of survival, of heartache and loss.
I think every family here has lost somebody.
And of renewal. From a place where strength and hope are giving the people here a fighting chance. We're on a quest to find out if this paradise lost can come back from the brink. Thailand. It's known simply as the Land of Smiles, a place where the beauty of the people and the landscape has made it prosper. For decades, Westerners have returned time and again to this exotic land for a unique experience. On Thailand's southwest coast along the Andaman Sea lies Phuket Island, one of the country's most popular resort destinations.
This idyllic cove with its golden beaches was once just a simple fishing village. Within decades, all that has changed. Some call it the Hawaii of Asia, but it's more than that. It's the French Riviera and the Caribbean and more, all rolled into one.
I think there's really everything for every kind of traveler, you know? Like, if you wanted a resort kind of holiday, you can get that. If you want more of a cultural experience, that's definitely possible. Or even just a beach holiday, you know, everything's right here.
The high season for tourists is about to get underway. And for Thai business owners whose livelihoods depend on Western dollars,
What do you think?
they're holding their breath,
I don't need tailoring.
Just have a look, for curious.
Just for curious?
Yeah. Just
hoping profits will be up.
Where do you, 150 baht for one?
After last year's devastating tsunami left the popular resort region in ruins.
The amount of damage it did, let's say in Phuket, the physical damage wasn't that bad, but the economic effects continue today. Even non-tourist related businesses are in some way dependent on tourism.
To understand just how hard this country was hit, you have to go back in time, when the only worry in Phuket was missing the sunset. Last year, more than 11.5 million foreigners vacationed here. They spent nearly $7 billion. Playing in the sun, taking in the sights, and shopping in the markets. Until December 26, 2004. The day paradise was lost. Deep in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Indonesia, a massive earthquake erupted, measuring 9.0 on the Richter scale. The earthquake spawned a tsunami, a series of giant waves that sped across the ocean in all directions, striking 12 countries. In Thailand, a wall of water towering more than 30 feet swallowed everything in its path.
It was shocking. It was like a nuclear bomb had, I think. It reminded me of the movie The Day After. Every building I knew was not there. Every shop I knew was not there. Every home I knew was smashed. There's absolutely nothing we could do.
It killed at least 200,000 people, among them thousands of tourists, making it the deadliest tsunami in recorded history. The relentless waves battered hotels, demolished beachfront businesses, and wiped out coral reefs. Thailand's tourism industry, one of the country's key moneymakers, nearly drowned in the tsunami's wake.
The first thing they did was cancel. That was the peak season for Phuket, between December and January.
Once a rowdy retreat for soldiers on leave from war zones in Asia, Phuket is now home to a string of high-end luxury resorts. 80% of the city's residents rely on tourism for employment. Before the tsunami, Phuket drew close to 3 million international tourists every year. 6 months after the devastation, more than 400 hotels, restaurants, and shops were still closed, leaving 5,000 people out of work. More than $1 billion in tourism revenue was lost. The water from the tsunami had long receded, but the killer waves were still doing damage. Just ask the survivors trying to make a living along Patong Beach.
And how's business?
Business not so well this moment because of tsunami.
Yeah.
Before tsunami was really very good.
Really very good.
Yes.
How bad was the tsunami for everybody around here?
Everybody, they have no insurance, so a lot of people, they are just,
They lost everything.
yeah, they lost everything. So
These stores and the entire bazaar here at Patong Beach were washed away during the tsunami. Hundreds died here. Nothing but rubble remained. Within 3 months, they were back in business. But now, they're still struggling, quietly waiting for the tourists to return.
Come, boss.
You make suits?
Yes, madam. Oh, business very quiet now.
Yeah, how come?
Before tsunami is very good. After tsunami, oh, very quiet.
All the tourists went away?
Yeah. Maybe I think next month is going to be better.
Why?
Because I hope so.
But behind the smiles, there's worry in the air. Phuket is open for business, but it may not be enough to make a profit. This resort island off Thailand's west coast accounts for nearly 1/3 of the country's annual income. Now, as the high season for tourists begins, the entire country turns to Phuket for hope. Nantana Wang Satayanan is counting on Westerners to come back to vacation in her country. She's a tsunami survivor and a millionaire who runs a chain of luxury hotels on Phuket Island. Together, her family owns 4 properties, including this one, the Merlin Beach Resort. Set on 12 acres of land overlooking the Andaman Sea, the 4-star resort has over 400 rooms. It's the perfect romantic paradise. Nantana grew up here, went to college in Bangkok, and got her master's at the University of Illinois. Her father was from China, a former tin miner who was one of the first to realize the potential of Phuket as a vacationer's dream.
Your father was enough of a visionary to see that the tin mines would go away, but the tourists would come.
Yeah, for his generation, I think, well, it's too modern, right? Because he just, for me, he said, okay, you have to study hard, you have to have high education. Even my brother also the same.
Nantana was home when the tsunami hit. She and her staff acted quickly to move hotel guests to safer ground, saving dozens of lives.
It must have been very emotional for you and difficult to start after the tsunami.
Very sad, very sad. I thought, I just dream it, I just, okay, bad dream, something like that, because it's unbelievable. Okay, thank you, Jack.
The family business suffered $15 million in damage. But Nantana considers herself one of the lucky ones. No one on her staff was killed. For 3 months, 2 of her hotels were closed for repairs. But her staff was not forgotten.
And during that time, well, we keep all the staff, well, we still pay them for payroll, well, we pay them full.
You paid them in full,
Yeah.
even though you closed
Yeah,
the hotels
yeah.
for 3 months.
Yeah, because, okay, well, my fathers always say, oh, the hotel cannot run by themselves. Quite confident the business will getting back because a lot of travel agency, a lot of our customer, they just give us support and they say, oh, well, when you are reopened, well, definitely we will come back.
What would you say to a tourist who's about to make a reservation? Should they come here? Should they go somewhere else?
Oh, well, we have to tell them after tsunami, our beach is nicer, clean, and then, you know, okay, clean and the sandy beach again, you know, everything back to normal now and better.
While the beaches on Thailand's western coast may now be more beautiful than ever, those living on the coastline may never be the same. An hour north of the Merlin Beach Resort is a community called Pakarang. Like so many coastal villages in this part of the world, people here live off the sea.
Barracuda.
Yeah, that's an
I work with some of those.
The fresh seafood served at every restaurant in the country comes from places like Pakarang.
These prawns, they're huge.
Fishermen here earn a living by supplying the local restaurants and resorts. But when the tsunami hit, it wiped out a fleet of fishing boats. Dozens of families were left with nothing. Starting over is not an option for many of these men. A new boat can cost up to $3,000. They simply can't afford it. Rongsang Naronan lost far more than a boat. His home was destroyed. His wife and 2 of his children were killed. And he lost his leg.
The water hit us so hard. It pushed my wife and kid one way and me the other way. I couldn't help them. I couldn't help my wife and kid. I saw them washed away with my own eyes. I wanted to help them, but I couldn't. The water was so strong and debris was everywhere. It was overwhelming.
To help Rongsang and his fellow fishermen, the group Tsunami Volunteers is pitching in to rebuild the boats. Their work will change these men's lives and revitalize an industry that's critical to the tourist trade, supplying fresh seafood to Thailand's best restaurants.
I'm thinking probably 10 centimeters down at least.
Scott Carter traded a comfortable life in South Carolina for long days at the boatyard.
Fortunate. This is one person or maybe 2 people going out and putting enough fish in a boat that's this size. It's not a huge industry, so losing a boat is a big deal to them.
Nearly 50 new boats are being built to replace those destroyed or lost almost a year ago.
I often get the question, how long do these boats last? And 1 or 2 fishermen I know of are either using their father's or their grandfather's boat. $3,000 US is a lot of money in the US, and to these guys, it's almost, to some of them, it would have been impossible. They wouldn't have been able to return to the sea. I can't do anything to help them rebuild their house. I can't do anything to help them replace their loved ones. But it's at least a tool to begin earning their living again.
After talking with the locals, volunteers held a lottery to determine who would get a new boat. But when the first one was finished, the fishermen of Pakarang all agreed Rongsang, the man who'd lost so much, would be the first to set sail again.
It's important to me because it's an additional source of income for my family. It also helped me to experience and learn new things from tourists.
When we launched the boat, you can see they slide down those railways, and it slid into the water, and he was so excited. With his one leg, he hopped down the slope and swam out to his boat and got in it. He didn't even walk around, he swam out.
For Scott, helping these men get back to sea is worth far more than the year's salary he gave up to be here. It's one small success along the long road to recovery. The fish may be back on the menu at the local eateries around Phuket, but will the tourists be there to order up a meal? In December 2004, a massive tremor in the Indian Ocean produced a lethal tsunami. The relentless waves did far more damage than meets the eye. Thailand's Andaman coast is a wonderland of marine life. Stretching more than 120 miles, some 600 species live along these coral reefs, including many of the sea's rare and endangered animals. Mark Spires runs the Scuba Cat Diving Center in Patong. He's been teaching tourists how to scuba dive for more than a decade, working in Thailand the past 3 years. Mark was in the dive center when the tsunami struck.
The shop on the beach road was just completely destroyed. We've got a swimming pool in the front there, and we ended up with a pickup truck directly in front of in the pool, halfway in the pool, through the front of the shop. And there was literally nothing left of the shop, just the support pillars for the building itself. You know, everything that was in there was just washed away, and the back wall was blown out completely. Initially, I think we were just worried about what was going on because we've got 3 boats, and they were all out on the day. And because we were quite a widespread operation, you know, we're just trying to get information really to make sure that all our friends really on the boats were okay. In some ways, it's warming the way that people come together in those situations, you know, and just people who are on holiday just helping us because they happen to be our customers.
With the dive center demolished, Mark faced an uncertain future for his business and his life. But his biggest worry was for the fate of the underwater world.
After about the first 4 or 5 days when we had the first diving going out again, and we were getting the reports back that actually the diving was still very good, you know, that was a big reassurance to us all here. As far as the diving goes, very few of the sites, as in the sites that we dive, that people go to see, were actually affected, so we're very lucky. You know, obviously there were areas underwater that were affected, but thankfully they weren't really the areas that we dive. So it's, in terms of the industry here, it hasn't been an issue in that situation. So we're quite pleased.
Experts believe the overall damage caused by the tsunami was actually quite small, with only 13% of the reefs suffering high impact. Mark is rebuilding the business by spreading that word to the West. When it comes to diving, few places are better than Thailand. And so far, the message seems to be working.
Probably from about May or June, that the tourists were starting to come back at the same levels. I mean, May or June is our low season here anyway. But if we look at, you know, the business we had at this time last year, people are still coming back at the same levels. The advanced bookings for this year are back on a similar level to what we would expect on any other year. And that's positive. That's good. People have a love for Thailand. I mean, there are many people who emailed us and said, you know, we're not going to come in January, but we're going to come back because we love Thailand and we just want to come back and help everybody. And by helping, I mean just by bringing their, you know, the tourist dollars with them and spending, basically. And that's all we need and ask for.
Although diving in Thailand is back on track, for some local Thais, their future is still cloudy. In the rainforest, an hour north of Phuket, Western dollars have yet to return.
Whoa.
In this part of Khao Lak, elephant trekking has a long tradition with tourists in search of adventure.
Did someone say elephant ride?
Elephants, like other wildlife, were reported to have sensed the danger last December. Many fled to higher ground just as the waves reached land. Researchers credit the animal's big ears.
Her ears are keeping the bugs away.
Elephants can detect low frequencies, impossible for humans to hear. Wit Junket is the owner of an elephant camp in Khao Lak. Before the tsunami, he ran a highly profitable business, giving elephant rides to as many as 60 tourists a day.
I have 8 elephants. Income I get from them is about 300,000 to 400,000 baht a month.
Just moments before the tsunami struck the coastline, 4 of Witt's elephants broke their chains and fled to higher ground.
When the tsunami hit, what did you see? What was going on?
At that time, I didn't know why the tsunami hit us. I was very startled, and I couldn't think of why it hit us.
How much did you lose? How much did your family lose on that day?
We lost about 5 houses. I don't know how much the damage caused. I don't really know how much they were worth.
A month after the tsunami, Witt's business, like his houses, was all but gone. Tourists are finally returning, but not enough for him to rebuild his life.
It must be hard to rebuild.
You know, it's hard to think about rebuilding new houses and stuff like that. After the tsunami, we didn't really get any money. But I just think of it as part of life. You have the ups and downs. We may be down now, but eventually it'll be better.
Like many Thais, Witt is in debt. He's still paying off loans on things he lost to the water.
That way?
5 of his elephants are now working in other parts of Thailand. If his business doesn't rebound, he'll have to put his remaining 3 elephants to work, tapping rubber from the trees. But Witt is rebuilding on his family's land. Like his beloved elephants, he's blessed with a long memory of life before the disaster.
After all that you've been through, after all that you've lost, why on earth would you stay here? Why not move?
When you stay here for a long time, you really become attached to this place. Even after the tsunami, we still want to continue to live here.
Thailand's west coast suffered the brunt of last year's tsunami, but the whole nation is still feeling the effect. From the coastline to the farmland, Thais from all corners of the country are uniting for a common cause: securing the future. The nation's biggest airline, Thai Airways, has launched a campaign to recruit major corporations in the effort. 300 workers are in Phuket for the weekend to roll up their sleeves, put on boots,
I'm Cinderella, they fit.
and dig in the mud. They're here to plant a new mangrove forest along the coast. Serm Penchat works for Thai Airways. He knows how vital the mangroves are to the overall health of Thailand's marine life.
Mangrove actually does a few things. Most importantly is the breeding ground for seafood, shrimp, fish. The big fish in the ocean also, when breeding period, lay their eggs inside the mangrove forest. So this is where it's happening.
Were a lot of the mangroves washed away during tsunami?
During tsunami, the mangrove actually did a very positive protection for a lot of the inland sand dune. The area that were protected by mangrove actually were affected less than sandy beach area, which was open to the wave.
Even before the tsunami, this mangrove forest was suffering from shrimp farming and overdevelopment. Today, over half the world's mangrove forests have been lost. These natural buffers are the first line of defense for coastal communities facing fierce weather. They're crucial when disaster strikes. Along Phuket's beaches, these trees do much more than buffer the coastline. They're a natural tourist attraction.
The thing that helps sustain the livelihood of people around the area also is what's called ecotourism, doing kayaking inside the mangrove forest. So it's a new kind of travel for people to enjoy.
Planting new mangroves will help restore Phuket's natural beauty and entice tourists back to paradise.
Why should tourists come to Phuket?
If you want a real marine beach holiday, then nothing beats Phuket.
For some who already know of Phuket's secret beauty, they are compelled to return. Their lives are now tied to this place.
This is the bathroom at the back.
Last December, Andy Chagger was in Khao Lak with his fiancée and his best friend, vacationing along the coast. Just before the tsunami hit, Andy says he could hear the water rushing towards him. It was so loud, it sounded like a jet engine.
I sort of remember being in the bungalow, and then I remember waking up in the water, basically, and sort of being tossed around, trying to surface. Well, I was actually trapped sort of on a building site, so my leg was caught between a concrete pillar on this side, and then all the debris was dragged across it as it was being pulled back out. But I'm pretty sure that's what saved my life, because I wasn't pulled back out into the bay. So I think if I hadn't have been trapped there, then that would have been it.
All right, I have a surprise for you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Andy escaped with his life after 3 operations in Thailand and skin grafts back home in England.
Yeah, fantastic.
He lost his fiancée as well as his best friend that day. Both were killed in the tsunami.
It's still difficult, but being out here and working with such a great team and all the ties, it's therapeutic, definitely. This is all bamboo. This is brought in from outside the village. I'm not exactly sure of the source.
Andy is the manager on a volunteer project to rebuild housing for Thailand's so-called sea gypsies, a group of semi-nomadic people who live in coastal villages. When the tsunami barreled through, it leveled communities like this one.
Let's say almost all the buildings were lost. I think there's only one left standing in the village. We don't know for sure because we didn't have an exact count, but we estimate about half the population were lost. So that literally means every family in town has lost somebody, be it children, parents, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties, or, you know, more than one.
Andy and his team are helping the homeless build 35 new homes. In the last 8 months, they've completed more than half.
What are we looking at here?
This is actually the kitchen. Most of the houses follow a similar design. They are unique in some details, like I was saying, the balconies are and so forth. But most of them have pretty much got this ground level kitchen area here. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to try and repay the Thais a little bit for all the help and kindness that they showed me. And in a very, very dark time of my life, so...
His team is as diverse as those who vacation on these shores. Volunteers from Germany, Holland, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and the US.
Thai food. What are you guys eating? We don't know. That's you don't know? We do it 3 different ways. I'll have a little shirt.
This is the first time they've let us eat.
I think volunteering is just a great way to learn about the Thai people and the culture, and it's just great being able to work with the people and everyone else.
What's this called?
Head dog.
Hot dog. Come to Khao Lak. Come on holiday, come and volunteer. It's amazing. It's very, very difficult to articulate just what the atmosphere is like here, but it really is very special and unique, and yeah, everybody should do it.
Decades of tourism have brought Thailand into the modern world. But cross the Indian Ocean, and it's like going back in time. 30 years of civil war in Sri Lanka has kept this teardrop-shaped island off India's southern coast from capitalizing on its natural beauty. Miles of unspoiled coastline.
The tsunami took a horrific toll here, killing an estimated 40,000 people. Entire beachfront communities like this one, which had been serving tourists for decades, were washed away. Ironically, the wave struck just as Sri Lanka was beginning to emerge as a global tourist destination.
When the tsunami hit, it delivered a 1-2 punch. It came during the high season in a record-breaking year, with 550,000 tourists spending $430 million. Sanjeeva Gaudamadasa is the general manager at the Lighthouse Hotel in Galle, a resort city along the southern coast.
The year 2004 was definitely going to be the best year we have ever had. Not only Lighthouse, but even the country as a whole in terms of tourism. But unfortunately, December came and 26th came, and then tsunami took away the hopes of an excellent year. When the tsunami hit, I was just in this restaurant just here. 2 minutes before that, I was standing right here near very close to the edge of the sea, but at a much higher height, so it was not going to affect me. The restaurant and the area right outside was full, and full of guests, because we were houseful on the previous night, all having breakfast, and nobody realized anything until everyone just suddenly stood up and screamed. There were 17 people sitting on these rocks. They were not our guests, they were people who had come from the street to have a little picnic breakfast. They just got swallowed into the sea. When everyone stood up and screamed, of course then everyone came running out.
The lighthouse became a media center in the immediate aftermath of the tsunami. Its high profile may have saved Sanjeeva's business in 2005. Like so many who live in Sri Lanka, hardship and misfortune seem to be part of the price to live in this paradise.
We accept it as something that we have to go through again, and just do everything we can to at least break even, maintain what staff we have. We never stop any staff in the hotel, and hope for better days as soon as possible.
The government here, despite the precarious political climate, understands the urgency. It launched a major campaign to lure travelers back.
There are over 300,000 people directly and indirectly living on tourism. And for the benefit of them, if the tourist keeps on coming back, their livelihood will come back to them faster.
Before the tsunami, tourism was the hottest new economy in Sri Lanka. It's currently the fourth largest revenue generator, with 5 new resorts set to open by 2010 to handle demand. One of those trying to take advantage of the market is Alex Stanich, an American who gave up his life in the corporate fast track to open a restaurant in Sri Lanka. He's here with his wife Veronica and their daughter Ivy.
We had read about how the tourism numbers in Sri Lanka were spiking since 2002, and maybe this would be a good place to try it. So we had a honeymoon/research mission, which was basically, could I stand to try such an adventure? And I said, yes, I will try it. So we are opening a business here.
Alex knows the risk of business in the developing world. He owned a restaurant in Cambodia until a military coup forced him out. His new restaurant here in Sri Lanka is called The Firefly. Set to open on New Year's Day 2005, the Firefly's grand opening had to be delayed.
We had staff hired. We had interviewed, I guess, our top people for the kitchen, and I think it would have been a pretty urgent push to hit our opening date goal, but we could have done it mid to late January.
We decided not to. It seems just the wrong thing to do to open up our business. We were able to get back on track faster than most people, but the village around us was devastated. So, you know, our guilt, stopped us from opening any sooner than May.
Although Asia's hot new market has cooled, Alex believes he still made a good choice about opening a restaurant in Sri Lanka. He sees a bizarre twist of fate in the tragedy.
It was a huge disaster here. We lost, over 30,000 people in a single day. But as far as the future for Sri Lanka, I believe it was the tourism minister who said they had brand recognition now. I mean, every article about the tsunami started with the beautiful beaches of Sri Lanka, describing what it was before the tsunami hit. So it's sort of an odd way to get publicity for what's here, and then everyone died. It was strange. It's strange publicity, but it does make people aware of the country.
As life returns to normal, the tourism industry is banking on that awareness to change the country's future. and show how Sri Lanka is back on track to becoming one of Asia's hottest tourist spots. One of Asia's finest resort destinations is a holiday paradise on Phuket Island off Thailand's southwest coast. Sparkling lagoons and tree-lined avenues link 5 hotels, including Laguna Phuket. James Bhatt has been managing director here for a decade. Miraculously, his hotel escaped the worst of the tsunami, largely because of its design.
The site was something that today it would be hard for you to believe. The lagoons were full of debris. Our lagoons here at Laguna Phuket acted as kind of surge tanks, so that when the wave came in, the shock of the wave was absorbed by the surge tanks or the lagoons. And we are a few feet above sea level.
How did the Thais jump in? How did the tourists jump in helping?
The thing that I will never forget is the fact that the cleanup was largely undertaken by guests. It was the guests who were staying in our hotels, could see the need to do something, were on the beaches, picking up debris, creating the bonfires, working with our people to make everything better.
Like everyone in the vacation business, Bhatt knows the industry suffered a major hit last December.
What happened to bookings in the weeks and months following the tsunami?
In August, which is not high season, we did high 70% across our resorts here, which means that 75% plus of the rooms were filled every night throughout August on average. So that was pretty good, but we didn't get the rate that we usually get. We put out some special offers to get people back. Japan, Korea, Taiwan just decided not to come this year. Understandable, sentimental reasons, the Asian consideration of proximity to bad luck, and we quickly realized that there wasn't much point in fishing in those ponds. So we went fishing in Australia and the UK, which were more resilient, put some effort into those markets, and sure enough, we had quite a lot of response. From an economic point of view, I think that we're now looking at probably getting back to a reasonable level of recovery 1 year after the tsunami. So it's going to be a full year of some sort of impact.
One of the major problems has been just getting people back to the island. Many direct flights were dropped in the wake of the tsunami.
We rely mostly on Thai Airways, of course, for Phuket in particular. But certain other airlines fly directly in here from some of our key markets, and so does Thai. So, for example, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Australia, pretty much all of those direct flights into Phuket disappeared in the early days, and most of them have not yet returned.
There were thousands of cancellations in the weeks and months following the disaster. Fortunately for the resorts in Phuket, some people kept their plans.
We did have our doubts because people said, oh, you know, it'll still be in ruins and things, but we just thought we'd give it a go and just see, you know, what it's like. Because we had heard from people back home that it was okay to visit, so we just thought, well, we've heard it's really nice, so we might as well come and see for ourselves and make our own judgment.
It's nice to see how quickly the community has recovered and just how happy people are in general and how they just appreciate life so much. We've talked to a few people on the beach here and they've just been, I think, just so happy that people are coming back and that their livelihoods have improved, and I can't say enough good things about it.
I've been here 3 times before, and since the tsunami I decided to come back again and see how a couple of people that I've got to know through shopping are faring, and yeah, it's been great to come back and see that things are well and truly on the way to getting back to how it was before.
It's lived up to my expectations. I've been here 1 week now, and it's fantastic.
The entire country is banking on Thailand's natural beauty, exotic culture, and modern comforts to bring business back.
So tell me, what makes Phuket such a popular tourist destination?
Phuket is just a lucky place. It's got everything. There is more and more property development going on here. People are buying second homes, holiday homes, retirement homes. And I think that with the infrastructure roads, airport, great hospital, international school, resorts such as Laguna Phuket and others. Phuket is going to bounce back, and it's going to bounce back strong.
When the tsunami struck in December 2004, it shattered the lives of millions. In the days and weeks that followed, the focus was on saving lives. Now, Thailand is ready for the peak tourist season, once again offering Westerners an escape from their own lives, if only for a little while. Like the clear blue ocean, the lush tropical landscape, and the golden sunsets, there's a timeless quality here. A happy resilience that endures in the land of smiles. It's that irresistible allure that has always drawn visitors to Thailand and will again.
It really is glorious. I was out riding my bike at dawn this morning, and I had to say I thought of Scotland, as I often do, looking across a lagoon and then up to the mountains and the beautiful sky above it. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Dotted with these Buddhist huts. And at dawn you will see the monks on what they call bintabat in their saffron robes, going along in lines, going to get rice from the local communities. I still enjoy the feeling. It's gorgeous to look at. Palm trees, beaches, mountains, green, lagoons, beautiful people, attentive, smiling, charming. 10 years on, I'm still besotted by it.
What was once the scene of a terrible tragedy is now once again a vacation paradise. The Thai people have long since tried to put this sad chapter behind them. They're hoping to return to what they're world famous for, welcoming guests. I'm Juju Chang for the Travel Channel. Thanks for joining us.